We live in a culture, and that's all around us nowadays with Black Lives Matter and the explosion in the last couple months, and what's going on, and just our culture as a whole, that there seems to be less and less dialogue than there ever has been. We're literally, as using the thorn example, throwing thorns at each other and just no talking. Why do you think it's progressed to where it is now, and it seems to be continuing to go downhill? It's in politics, or they're constantly calling each other names. There's very little talking. I don't know if that's maybe because of the social media that like makes it worse. Why do you think it got to where it is now, and how as a society do you think we can get out of this again? Mm-hmm. So an example is, like for example, Trump, very polarizing figure. Some people hate him, some people love him, and it just seems like there's no talking between the two sides. Yeah. Just hurling insults.
Yeah. And I think the first problem is that there's some people who love him, some people hate him. We should love all human beings is my core premise, right? So I may not like everything he does because it affects some of the things, or there may be some beliefs and things that he does or some way he treats other people that don't fit in my worldview. But if I'm trying to change him, and so by hating him, I'm essentially saying that he needs to change. And I'm already in the wrong place. So that's where.
Why are you in the wrong place?
Because I'm now.
Let's say Trump's a racist, like he got accused.
Yep.
Why are you in the wrong place for saying he needs to change, not be a racist anymore?
If I'm in a place where I say he needs to change, first of all, I'm not saying the behavior he's doing is the right thing for society or is even respectful and all that, because everyone has the right to be respected. So being a racist is absolutely not right. However, if I say you need to change, I am already. I don't know where this concept comes from, but it's a really cool analogy. Is that if you ask someone to hold up their hand, and then you say, put your hand against mine, and you put your hand against mine. When I push that person's hand, they immediately push back. But when I just hold our hands together, a sort of bond starts forming, and we can get into a chemical level and all this stuff. And this is why I think all these. Lack of social connection and things like that, in real physical social connection is not good for us because we're not wired that way. But that's a different topic. Is that when I hold our hands together, we form a kind of a bond. So if I start pushing against Trump or anybody, then I'm just advocating that he push back. And now we're into what we're pushing about rather than the actual core. So if I would actually be able to try to understand, well, where is that actually coming from? Because it's so easy for us to look back at hundreds of years ago and look at these people who in today's context are very, very racist. Not for a second do I say what they did is right, but they were living in that context. And there was no paradigm that was shifting their thinking, and there was no one pushing them to shift, but there's also no one sitting down and saying, hey, why are you doing this? Yeah. So for us to look back and say, hey, they need to change, it really gives me, I've created a power differential saying, well, I'm better, you need to change. And once we're in a power differential, we lose the ability to communicate properly. That's one of the core fundamental things, is that power creates a difference in level. Therefore, I don't teach people things. I just share what I do. And that then doesn't make me a power of authority or anything. And that's one of the core concepts too, is if I push, I'm just going to get resistance back. So what I need to do is say, hey, I would really like to understand, be furiously curious about where you're coming from, right? Yeah. And I truly believe, I said that to you before we started today in our little chit chat there, is I believe curiosity is one of the fundamental qualities that we need and how do I do it? I can start getting curious about my own feelings, about the other person. And before you know it, we're so curious and we're actually understanding each other. Yeah. So by saying he has to change and calling him a bigot and all this kind of stuff, I've already put myself on a pedestal above him. Even though I say, oh no, I'm not above him, I'm not. Yeah, we are. We've created a power differential. Because if I say you need to change, then that means that you need to do something different than you are. I don't. Therefore, we're different. And we're in it. So once we do that, we've created this conflict. And now we've created the conflict about who's right and who's wrong, not even about, we played this game of right and wrong rather than, hey, I've got needs, you've got needs. Because I can assure you that at a fundamental level, the only reason, and this is really starting to get out there, but in terms of where we end up, which is a beautiful place, but that I'm only racist because that is my strategy to getting my needs met. So if I'm not secure as a person, then one thing I can do is start stepping on people of other culture, right? There's always two ways over a fence. We can either jump or step on someone.
Yeah.
And some of us choose to step on others. So that's one core concept in my TED Talk too that I talk about, is that a need and a strategy are always different. Very, very, very different. So I may have a need to have a home, but my strategy is have a 10,000 square foot home, right? I need a need for shelter. My strategy is I need this really fancy house. I may need food. My strategy is to beat you up to get your money so that I can go buy food. So the strategy is not the need. The need is something different. So in this racist example, the strategy is I need to step on other people. My need is something very different.